Hello and welcome to Hindi Reading Class 9B. Today we're going to be discussing conjuncts made with the ra. The last time we discussed this situation, how to eliminate the sound in between consonants. And the one method is that dash line, which you will rarely ever see. And then the second method was the saw. Now we chopped some of these letters in half and combined them with other letters. But last week we only discussed letters that to the far right hand side is a vertical line, like sa. There's a vertical line, so we can chop the line off and combine it with the uh, next letter. We also talked about letters that have a line going through the middle, like ga, ba, and fa. But today we're going to discuss ra. And so ra is a little bit different than most of the other consonants. So when it comes first in a conjunct, in other words, when it is the first letter and we're trying to get rid of the after it, then it looks like a rodent on a tree limb. So if we take a look at this, how would we pronounce this? This is faram, faram, faram. But then how would we pronounce this? And take a notice at the rodent sitting on top of the tree limb. That means that the after it is gone. So this would be pronounced farm, farm. See what happened there? This is faram, but then when we changed it to this special shape, that special shape means there is no more after ra. So this is farm. Now, one thing to note here is that when the ra is coming first, so we're reading top to bottom. So it goes fa, and then we have the ra on the top, followed by the ma with no in between. Farm. So how would we pronounce this? This is haram, haram. However, if we change it to the special rodent on top of the tree branch, what happened? We got rid of so how would we pronounce this? Haram, haram. You see the difference between haram and haram? We're getting rid of the And once again, this is only for ra. So we're talking about conjuncts that begin with ra, haram. So how would we pronounce this? This would be karm, karm. Not karam, but karm. How would we pronounce this? This is garv, garv, garv. This is not garav, it is garv. How would we pronounce this? Can we break this up into more than one syllable? Yes, we can. So where would we start? At the conjunct. So the first syllable would be dar, and the second syllable would be shan. So this would be pronounced darshan, darshan. Not darashan, but darshan, because we got rid of the a. darshan. How would we pronounce this? This would be dharm. Now, of course, using good pronunciation, we would have the the here as air. We feel air on our hand, but this is dharm, not dharam, but dharm. There's a difference. What about this? How would you break this up? This one is a bit strange because we have a little bit of interference here. We see the rodent on top of the tree branch, but we also see this other line up there. What is that? So let's break this up. First syllable is mur, second syllable is gi. So do you see what's happening here? The rodent on top of the tree branch is interfering with the E symbol. So they're overlapping. You will see that from time to time. But here we're reading what direction? Top to bottom. So the order is still the same. Mu, followed by the R, followed by gi, murgi, 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 murgi. So one thing to take note of here is notice where the ra is on top, the rodent on top of the tree branch. It is to the far right of the syllable. What syllable are we talking about? We're talking about gi. So when we draw this conjunct, the ra is always to the far right, no matter what syllable it is. Now we're going to look at what we mean by syllable here. These are syllables: ga, ga, gi, gi, gu, gu, ge, ge, go, go, ga. These are syllables. It is a consonant followed by a vowel sound, a mata. So here, notice that the ra is to the far right, overlapping with the e. So is this the far right? No, it's not. Is this the far right? No, it's the middle. Is this the far right? Yes, it is. So that's where ra goes. Here's some more examples, and you'll notice that ra is always on the far right of the syllable. How would we break this up? Now, this is a bit different because this is not E, this is something else. How would we break this up? First syllable, R. Second syllable, tick. So the principles still remain the same. The R is to the far right of that syllable. What is that syllable? Tick. And so we break it right where the conjunct is when we pronounce it. R, tick. R, tick. How do we pronounce this? Mur is the first syllable that when we break this up. Mur. Then the second syllable is te. Now, just for a reminder, what T is this? This is not the English T. This is the T where we touch the bottom of our teeth, the lower. When I say bottom of our teeth, I mean the lower portion of our upper front teeth. T. Mur, mur. Actually, that's the wrong U, but you get the idea. Murti. Okay. So how would we break this up? Well, this has one more syllable than the other words we've been discussing. First syllable would be ba. Second syllable, following the same principle of ra to the far right. Second syllable would be sh. We got rid of the after ra, right? Shar and then te. So this is not basharate, but this is basharte. Basharte. How would we break it? First syllable mur, second syllable gay. Murge, murge, murge. How would we break this up? First syllable nir, second syllable mo. Nir, mo. Remember the ha at the end is just an exhalation like a sigh. Nir, mo. Nirmo. How would we break this up? This would be par followed by t. Par, t. Par, t. Do you see that? How would we pronounce this? Now, this was actually a trick question. There is no ra in this image. Take a look. What is that thing that we're seeing there? That is the vowel E in its non-matra form. Interesting, isn't it? So even if uh, you didn't know this, there would be something very fishy going on here. And that is the fact that if this were actually the rodent on the tree branch followed by another consonant, what's the problem? What's below it would not be another consonant. That would actually be I, which is a vowel. So remember that conjuncts are only there to join two consonants. What is a consonant? Anything in Hindi that is not a, I, u, o, a, and re, right? So, and and a. So those are the other two vowels. So conjuncts, including the rodent on the tree branch, only work when we're trying to join two consonants. We're trying to get rid of the sound in between two consonants. So this is actually pai. And this is what we just talked about. Two consonants, never a consonant and a vowel. So what happens if we're trying to join ra with a vowel? Well, that's what a matra is for, isn't it? So the ra with no symbol is ra. The ra with the straight line would be ra, and then you see re, and then ri, ru, re, ro, ra, etc. So if we were trying to join this, which would be the Spanish R sound with a, what would it be? Re. It would be written as a ra with the a matra, not as the rodent on a tree branch. So, thank you, Mr. Sabdhan India. So, here's another special form that ra takes. And this is the special form it takes when it comes second in a conjunct. It's actually one of two special forms. We're going to talk about the other special form after this. So when it is number two, when it's number one, it is the rodent on a tree branch. Now, when it comes second, when R, the Spanish R sound is the second letter in the conjunct, then it looks like this root that's growing out of the consonant, the out of the consonant. See how the g has this carrot growing out of it. So this would not be g. This would actually be gr because of the little carrot growing out. So how would we pronounce this? This would be g roop, g roop. How would we pronounce this? Notice the little carrot. What did the carrot do? The carrot means that we got rid of the in between ga and ra. So it is no longer garu, it is now what? Gru. Very good. Gru. So how would we pronounce this? Shu. Great. Yeah. Shu. Great. Yeah. You see the root growing out of the bottom part of ka? That means that we got rid of the between ka and ra. So notice, if we didn't have it in the root form, we would pronounce it as shukariya, but because ra is a little carrot growing out of ka, we pronounce it shukriya. The e, of course, has to follow the second letter in the conjunct. So what's the second letter in the conjunct? The R, the Spanish R. So here we go, shukriya, not shukariya, and not Shukiraya. This is Shukriya. So the first letter after the Shu is the Ka with no air. Ka, of course, there's no followed by the Spanish R, followed by I. So we have a K sound with no air, followed by a Spanish R, followed by a I. So if we were to write this in a Roman alphabet, this would be spelled Kri. This is how we represent conjuncts in Hindi. We got rid of the so this is how it is spelled. Shukriya. How about this? How is this pronounced? This is pronounced ghara. Remember? Aspirated gha followed by ra followed by ta, which is the ta where your tongue touches your teeth. Ghara, ghara, not gharat, but ghara. Why is it not gharat in standard Hindi? Because the root is growing out of the gha, which means that we got rid of the ghra. How would we pronounce this? Well, do you notice the root in this picture? Mr. Root, where are you? Where are you? Yes, it's underneath the ba. So this is Brahman. Brahman. How about this? How we pronounce this? Where is the root in this picture? Where is the little carrot? It is after bha. And so, bha being the aspirated B sound, this would be pronounced bhram. Why wouldn't it be pronounced bharam? Why? Because Mr. Root is growing out of bha. Therefore, we have to get rid of the in between bha and ra, leaving us with bhra, bhram. How do we pronounce this? This is pra followed by jar. Do you notice Mr. Root is after the pa, which is the pa with no air in Hindi. So this is pra jar. Now, the ra occasionally takes another special form, and that form is that of a roof holding up the consonant. So the consonant is standing on top of the roof. And once again, as in the root form, the ra is pronounced second. So this only happens when the ra comes second after the following consonants. Da, ta, da, da. You see them at the top of your screen? Da, ta, da, da. Now these are the consonants that where your tongue rolls back towards the roof of your mouth, right behind the bump. Da, ta, da, da. So after those only, when we want to join it to a Spanish R and get rid of the then the ra becomes a roof holding up ta, ta, da, and da. So how would we pronounce this? So this would be ta, ra, ta, ra, ta, ra, ta, ra. And how would we pronounce this? Do you notice Mr. Roof anywhere in this picture? Hint, hint, hint. This would be pronounced through, sorry, truck. I threw you off. Truck, truck, truck. Sound familiar? Truck, truck, truck. Now for these, I actually find it a little bit easier to pronounce these with my tongue when the English T position. It is easier to roll the R if your tongue is on the bump, like in the English T. Truck, truck. You may find it similar. So this is truck, and this is truck, truck, truck. Ah, ooh. This is kind of an insane one, but you should be there. Focus on, once we get the first two out of the way, then we can focus on the last part. So the first two, we're going to break that conjunct, right? At the very end, this is a three-letter conjunct, three consonants combined. So we're going to take off the first one. So first syllable in this word is ra. And so we're going to split up that last conjunct, take one letter away from it, the first one, and make that part of the second syllable. So first syllable ra, second syllable jis, which leaves us with the last syllable, which would be, do you see the roof holding up the ta? Three, three. Now notice that even though the E is touching the ta, you still pronounce it after the ta and the ra together. So you pronounce it after the T and the R. And that's because that's how it works. So whatever whatever matra there is, we add it at the end of the consonants in a conjunct. So this would be ra, jis, tri, ra, jis, tri, ra, jis, tri. How would we pronounce this? Do you notice the roof in the picture anywhere? Dra, I, var. Dra, dra, I, var. Dra, I, var. Driver, driver. Driver, 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 driver. Notice an interesting thing is happening in the middle here is that they're using the ah and the I to make the sound we have in English, that is I. If you notice carefully, the sound in English I is actually made up of two vowel sounds, ah followed by I. I, I. So it's explicitly shown in Hindi that this sound is made up of two vowel sounds. Dra, iver, driver. And that's it for this lesson.